Welcome to Confusions of a 30-something. I'm Chris Walker, and I'm stuck with shepherd's pie for tea.
I'm Graham Glossop, and I've not even thought that far ahead, Chris.
I was supposed to be having pizza, but plans went a little bit wrong last night. We ended up getting a Chinese for convenience.
Nice.
So, yeah. I mean, it should be a luxury shepherd's pie because it's one of those Charlie Bigham's ones from Waitrose.
Fancy, eh? Fancy pants there with his little white rose.
My Waitrose shopping.
I keep calling it
White
white
You always
rose
call it that,
all the time. It's because
Have you been in Leeds that long that you're just obsessed with the White Rose Centre?
I wish White Rose had a Waitrose. I think they've just got the M&S.
Yeah, well, I don't know. White Rose has got Sainsbury's.
So, yeah, but it's no Waitrose, is it?
Nah, it's not. To be honest, the only reason we get anything from there is because we time it for the yellow sticker times. We're not paying full price for Waitrose.
Good old yellow stickers. Got to eat it within 12 hours or you die. That's the price you pay.
I get to live like Lord Admiral Fancy Pants on an Aldi budget if I time it right. It's brilliant. So, what we're going to talk about today then, mate?
The huge lack of exercise and motivation and fitness, mate. That's what we're discussing today. I've struggled. I know you've struggled, and yeah, we're going to get someone on, aren't we? As well, have a little a professional.
We are. For the first time ever, we're going to have a guest on this podcast. And no doubt they get to tell us just how useless we are and make us feel worse about ourselves without even intending to. Shall we crack on with it?
Let's do it, mate. Let's crack on.
So, Graham, this episode is going to cover some stuff about exercise or lack of and motivation, that sort of thing.
Huge.
You actually had a crack at it, didn't you?
I had a little crack at it, mate, yeah, but like you said, there's been a huge amount of, a lack of, should I say, of exercise. Like the first 8-10 weeks of lockdown, I actually did nothing, like zero exercise. I just tried to live the holiday lifestyle, do you know what I mean, of just like drinking and eating in terrible British weather. But yeah, so I actually thought and had a vision in my head that, I'll go run 10k. And then I thought about it more and thought, I can't actually run 10k, so I'll start off small. So I just started off on the punch bag in the back garden. That knackered me out. And then I started doing some TRX suspension. You know them suspension cords you get in gyms where you like lift your body weight?
Right, okay. You're going to have to... What, is TRX a brand name or something?
It's a brand name, yeah, for like a suspension workout, basically.
Are you a more powerful influencer than I realise? That's why you're plugging them.
No, that's just the proper name for it.
Right. Okay. So yeah, they're basically like glorified bungee cords, aren't they?
No, they're not the bungee cord. They're not the bungee cords. They're not stretchy. It's just like a really strong material. So it's got a door anchor, so you can hook it behind your door, like the top left-hand corner or right-hand corner. Strongest.
Is it a thing that looks a bit like a sort of harness?
Yes, and it's got handles
like
on
that?
it.
Right. So basically, you're just using a shag swing to do exercise on your door.
I don't do things like that, Chris. I'm a good boy. But yeah, so it's all about lifting your body weight. I think Marines used it and like the like attached it to tanks and stuff like that because obviously they didn't have gyms and that kind of stuff. You can use it anywhere, like attach it to a tree, a bench. Anyway, so I did that, and then I tried this fitness DVD. So I dug it out. Do you remember Insanity?
I do. That was a really big trend for quite a bit, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
It was like the ultimate crash diet.
Well, this was the beach body version. So it was when everyone was trying to get the beach body for the holidays. I think I had it and never used it. And this was years ago when it first came out. And then I just dusted it off and thought I'd give it a go. Anyway, there's a fitness disc with it. And it says on it, you have to do this fitness DVD first to see if you can do the rest of the actual workouts. And my God, it was hard. I failed. I'm just going to admit it. I failed the fitness test.
Yeah. You're like being like some seriously overweight kid trying to do the bleep test at school.
Definitely, mate.
Do you remember the bleep test?
I remember the bleep test.
I'm still haunted by boop, 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 boop. You'd be in some sweaty gym running back and forth time after time, getting even hotter. And the last thing you really need to be like a gym as a 15-year-old with 29 other lads in a t-shirt running inside a gym.
remember some people used to do it that, push themselves that hard. They used to like throw up at the end.
Mm.
I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing, but the PE teachers is always pushing you. You're going to strive better. Those terrible motivational quotes that shout out to you.
I seem to remember one of my PE teachers. I can't even remember what her name was, but she looked like Rosemary Connolly. There's an old name from exercise past, by the way.
Blimey.
She was like the 80s, getting your leotard, kind of dance about in living room. Here's a diet plan, sort of style exercise. To be honest, exercise died for me when Mr. Motivator stopped being on full time.
And GMTV first thing in the morning.
Although he was going to come back, wasn't he?
I think he does do like little celebrity appearances here and there and stuff like that. But
I think he was coming down to inspire the nation during lockdown. Going back to exercise then. So you've been using your harness thing, shall we say, your sex swing, for doing workouts on.
It works. Been using that, and then I did, like I said, I failed the fitness test. When I say failed, I just couldn't keep up with it, but I still did the other DVDs anyway, day after day. But the main piece of exercise that I did was a bike ride. Mm-hmm. And it was just a lot easier. It's low impact, so you don't have to worry about your knees and your ankles at our age, especially if you suffered from tendonitis or any other kind of ankle injury. Well, I mean, that's why I did the bike ride. That's why I've not actually done a long run yet, because I still have that kind of fear in the back of my head that my ankle's just going to snap or the impact's just going to, repeat itself and I'll be in that pain again. So that's why I did a bike ride. It was 48 kilometers, took about 2.5 hours. And yeah, it was in like the northeast Leeds with a friend. He's a proper cyclist. He's got all the, slimline shorts. He's got one of them cycling t-shirts with the fucking stupid pockets attached to the back.
Does he actually wear one of those like Tour de France style jerseys as well to go cycling?
And he's got.
I don't get that. I think that's a. I could understand if you were like doing trial races on a road or something, but I'm guessing you like went around some canal paths or something.
No, just proper on the road actually, just around the countryside. Really? Yeah, well, like on the country roads and stuff like that. But like when you try and reach for something around your back, your arm gets twisted like a chicken wing. And it's just really uncomfortable. So I just had a little rucksack on. I had a skater's helmet on that's like bright red, so I actually look a bit like a bell end. He had like the proper streamlined, ventilated helmet, proper Oakley polarized glasses. He's what them little shoes called that like clip into the pedals. Had them on.
Cleats,
maybe.
I think they're called cleats. Yeah.
Yeah, he had them. I just had my trainers on, so I was just there just to do it. But yeah, it was really good weather, 2.5 hours. The only downside to it was great, like the first 20 miles. So we did 30 altogether. It was the last kind of 5 miles where the pain in my arms.
You're starting to get like arseache. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought you were going to say. But on a similar note, I actually got my bike repaired last week because one of our neighbours who's on furlough actually does do it properly. He's like a proper bikehead. Like, probably to the point where he's probably quite fucking boring conversation, to be honest. But I saw he was out there, so would you be happy to service mine while you're at it? Because last time I used my bike, I noticed like my back brake was making a lot of noise, but I didn't really seem to be going any slower.
So how many times did you use the bike since the first service to this new service?
3, including this week. So yeah, but I still did it, and I went up a load of hills and stuff like that. I'll be honest, I was choking for me breath like really, really quickly when I did it. I ended up just like properly wimping out of it and like cycling around little suburban side roads and stuff. I'd have got mountain biking to an extent, like just going on trails and stuff last year. That was actually quite good fun. But I did manage, because I haven't got cycling shoes, because I'm not complete all the gear and no idea. I just put on a pair of Adidas trainers, and the laces had come loose and got wrapped around the fucking pedals and the cog, didn't they? So I was like cycling around in this mud in these woods on my own. And I was like, my foot's really hurt. It's like, oh, right, because I'm stuck to the pedal. It just wrapped itself round and I fell off my bike in this like big spongy piece of mud in the woods. I'm like having to untie myself. I look like a bit of a tit.
It's amazing how much footwear is like has a big importance with cycling, because I, like you, I just had trainers on, and after a while my toes started to go numb. And them cleats you were on about, I'm sure they're like a bit of a hard plastic or something, aren't they, at the front?
Yeah, they are.
So it's supposed to be like wind resistant and protect you from the wind and your feet going cold. I never knew that. No wonder they buy them cleats.
I remember when I first got the bike, because I'd not had a bike for like, I don't know, 20 years, something like that. I took it round like York Racecourse and in through the woods and stuff like that, out, like cycling out towards Selby. And obviously, if you're cycling through woods, it's just like, really bumpy and stuff. And I just used like the standard saddle that came with it. Bloody hell. It's like I'd picked a fight with a JCB, but with my arse as a main weapon. Like my sitting bones hurt so much. I like, like when you see like people in like films and stuff, like the kind of joke is when they've got hemorrhoids, they'll take one of those little inflatable rings or something. I was genuinely considering taking one to work for about a week. I couldn't sit down. My arse hurt so much. So now, what have I done? I bought one of those female saddle gel pack things that you can pull over your saddle. That's amazing. Why would you want to have one of the male ones? It's all nice and wide and comfortable.
No shame in that.
It's amazing. No, it's like the best £6 I've ever spent.
Well, that's what I've got on my seat. After I did that like long ride, my arse was just in agony. I did have to stand up just to kind of get into a new position, so I weren't sitting down to almost like stretch it out. I've got one of them like gel seats. That didn't really work. And then I just bought one of those, the padded shorts that you can get. I've bought one of them to try and get extra comfort. Something I thought I would never say at the age of like 20. Do you know what I mean? When I used to run, it just tight hamstrings. Very like, I don't think any runner is flexible, are they? I don't think anyone could touch their toes if they run. I definitely can't touch my toes, and I blame running for that.
I could.
Could you?
I could. Yeah, but I think it comes down to the mechanics of your body, like what muscles working too hard, because loads of people seem to be imbalanced. So for me, my knees were working too hard, like the sort of ligaments that attach and stuff to your knees were getting buggered, and my kneecap was coming out of place.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And like rubbing up. I know, it was really bad. Whereas for you, your hamstrings are probably working too hard and getting like really strained, and because of that, you're getting really tight, and that's why you can't bend over. But I could actually touch my toes for quite a while. I haven't attempted it for a while. I'll probably dislocate something if I did.
Yeah, even when I'm not stretching and stuff like that, it's just I don't think I've ever been able to touch my toes that I can think of anyway. But I mean, I've done all sorts over the years. I've done like triathlons, 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons, marathons. I even did an ultra marathon once, and that's the worst pain. I think it was like 3-4 days later, I was still in the same amount of pain. It just took ages for it to subside. But yeah, it just...
That's some going, though, doing an ultramarathon. What actually is an ultramarathon? Because there's so many of these things like Ironman and duathlons and this sort of thing. What's an ultramarathon?
An ultramarathon...
Is it a double marathon?
It's 2.5 marathons. So this one in particular was from...
Like a 50 mile or something. That'd be more, wouldn't it? It'd be like 60, 65?
69 miles, this one.
Oh, fuck
I know.
that. Why would you want to run 69 miles?
Someone invited me to do it, and I was like, yeah, why not? I was in my prime at the time. I thought I could do it, and I did do it, but it was a bigger struggle. Like the last 10K, I think I just kind of limped and hopped the whole way there because I couldn't lift my legs. Everything was just breaking and in agony and burning and cramping. It was awful.
I'm still trying to get my head around because I was invited to. Like, I might have been invited to some Christian sect cult where they all drink the Kool-Aid. But because if I know what it's going to entail, I'm not going. Like I said, I used to run quite a lot, and I had bad knees for running. And I had 3 attempts at doing a half marathon, and all 3 times I got injured before the race, like in the weeks building up, where my knees were playing up and the kneecaps were going out of place and stuff. So 2 years in a row, I dropped out. I think one was for injury. Second one, I was going to take someone else's place who got injured, and instead my team got to the playoff final, which was on the same day and was on my birthday. So I just thought I'd rather go to Wembley on my birthday than run around in the heat. Turns out running around in the heat would have been far better because they fucking lost yet again. And ended up getting sunstroke at Wembley Stadium, if you can believe that.
Wow.
I know, I'd had half a pint of beer. Admittedly, I got sloshed in the sun the night before, like drinking too much gin and stuff in the sun. So let's just say I wasn't very well the next day anyway, and was quite severely dehydrated after a stop at Watford Gap. And we sat in the sun, this baking hot game. It was 42 degrees pitch side for that game. And it went to extra time, and it went to penalties, and it went to that many penalties that the goalkeepers had to start taking penalties.
Wow.
It went on forever, and we were crap anyway, and lost when our keeper scored and ours put it miles over the bar. And then I went home on a coach full of sunstroke. So it was quite a shit birthday.
Fucking hell.
So really, I'd have rather been running. Anyway, going back to my point. Year after, I've got a mate from Norwich coming up to do the Sheffield Half Marathon. Get injured again, don't I? I'm thinking, oh, for God's sake. Like 4 weeks or something before the race. I was doing loads of hill runs. I was running 10, 11 miles a night after work.
Well, you were like early 20s, mid-20s, late 20s?
This is only about 5-6 years ago.
Oh, okay.
In fact, it might have been 2013. I've got the T-shirt somewhere. I don't fit in it anymore, obviously. No. But he was coming up to stay because he worked at the Norwich office of the same company. He was coming up to stay with me. So I couldn't say no. So I ended up doing, bearing in mind not being able to run at all for a month. I just bought a big heavy knee brace and thought, I'm just going to give it a go. I want to try and do it this time. And we smoked the night before, we drank the night before. Worst preparation possible. And I managed to get around in 1 hour 46 on a half marathon. All
right. Jeez. Well, that's really good, mate.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
For an amateur, I think, if you're not part of a running club and stuff. Ask me how I felt for the next week.
How did you feel for the next week after running a sub 145?
I couldn't move. I couldn't drive for 3 days.
Really?
My knee was that bad. I couldn't drive for 3 days.
Wow.
Like, I was really, really ill. I was really dehydrated as well. It probably didn't help that we went to the pub all afternoon once we got back to mine and showered and stuff. And ate like a big dirty burger and chips and drinking pints. I got to the point where I just physically couldn't drink anymore. Like, it was having no effect on me. It's just my stomach was full and that was it. And I was like up all night, dehydrated, feeling rubbish. He tucked into some massive breakfast the next day. He'd like been out to the shops and bought hash browns and stuff. I was like, Martin, I can't even eat.
Bloody hell,
like,
mate.
A cornflake.
Wow.
Looks like too much of an effort right now. But yeah, but I'll go with you. Like, it is a sense of achievement. So finally have got it done was brilliant. And I was in great shape for running. I look back at the photos now and think, why have I been inflated since?
Why do I look like a corpse that's been chucked down a river?
Yeah. I look shocking in comparison. I say I don't look that bad, but you can tell I used to exercise a lot back then. Like, you could see my jaw a lot more clearly for a start.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, though, it's that sense of achievement. It's that, that completion of that mammoth event that, it kind of makes it all worthwhile, really, especially when you get that little medal. When I did that ultra, I wanted to quit, after the first, marathon bit. There was like a little shuttle bus that takes you from each pit stop to the finish line in Newcastle. And I'd signed up for it. And I was like, I can't do it. I'm cramping up. I can't barely move. And then these pit stop had like food and electrolytes where you can just kind of rest and recover. And then the guy came over and goes, "Oh, you ready? The bus is here now." And I was like, I'm starting to feel a little bit better here. I've stretched out. I said to him, I'm going to give it a couple more miles and just try it out. And then if it still cramps up, then I'll stop. And then next thing I know, I'm limping towards the end of the finish line. And then that kind of feeling of just knowing that I was going to give up and so close to giving up and leaving it and then eventually finishing it, it was just, one of the proudest moments, I think.
So we've been talking about exercise, which I think is essentially a hobby for most people, isn't it? I keep getting told I need social hobbies, like where I meet other people, but I can't dedicate to solo hobbies, mate. Like, for instance, when we went into the whole lockdown thing, I thought I'm finally going to pick up my guitar properly. And for a few weeks, I was dedicating myself and practicing a bit every day. I've not picked it up for like 6 weeks now. I've done it again.
Same, mate. Same.
It's like it takes too much investment in time to bother doing it. And I enjoy doing it when I pick it up. But then I just start forgetting it was there. I mean, I did strategically place it in the office next to the desk. And when it was quieter at work, before it started ramping up, I could pick it up and play for a bit, for like 5-10 minutes. Like, it wasn't really a problem. Like, providing, obviously, like, you know, the work was done. I was waiting for somebody to come in. I could pick it up now, because we've had a bit of a move around. It's back in the spare room. It's not getting done. I actually don't even know where in the room it is. If I look round now.
It's funny that, isn't it? Because I did exactly the same thing. At the start of lockdown, I picked up the guitar, so I'll get back into this again. I made a list of 15 songs I wanted to learn, and I've only learned about 8 of them. And that's it. Put it back, never touched it again. It was weird.
I always find like when you're learning something like guitar, you try to play something that you think sounds simple, then you've got to do some sort of chord shape where your fourth finger's got to stretch across like loads of frets.
Oh.
You say, "Oh, this is just too fucking hard."
I know.
Like,
just stick to the basics.
What? Yeah, can like all chords never cover more than 2 frets? For God's sake, like, it's such a ball ache to get done. I'm sure it's like amazing once you can get to a certain level. Like, I grew up on like listening to stuff like Metallica and things like that, and I see them like shredding and riffing away and think, if I practice solidly for 25 years, I won't be able to play half of that.
Same here. I couldn't even attempt like any lead stuff like that. It's just you do need to have a lot of time and patience for it, don't you?
Which I haven't got.
Yeah,
I've probably got the time but not the patience, realistically. That's what I'm like. It's like learning German. I keep saying I'm going to learn German because I'm half German and I can speak a bit of it. Like, we went to Hamburg for your stag do and I probably came across as semi-fluent in comparison. But that's only because I know my sort of key phrases. I still can't get the grammar right or anything like that. And I forget everything once I've been away from Germany for 6 weeks.
And the fact that nobody else knew any German apart from the word Prost. That's it.
Prost and Danke, maybe? I think you learned Danke.
Possibly.
You can't remember anything you said or did, to be fair.
No.
Yeah, but it's always like a goal that I'm going to do it or I'm going to get an app to do it and stuff like that. And I come up against one obstacle and I just fucking give up every time. I was like, nah. Too much effort, too much investment to be bothered with this. And I put it off for a night because I can't be bothered. I put it off for a second night and then all of a sudden I've forgotten about it completely. Yeah,
it's funny how, you got to prioritise at home your hobbies. And then, so is tomorrow. And I always do it tomorrow. It is, a lot of procrastinating. But I'm on furlough. I've got all the time in the world. And I've made a list at the start of lockdown of everything that I wanted to do that I hadn't done in ages. Like, for example, I got this Nintendo Labo, which is basically like, it's cardboard flats that you fold out into like little pieces, like a steering wheel or a pedal,
right, okay,
or a joystick. So you basically build it and then you use that to play the game with. I got that at Christmas. I've not opened it, and I put on my list. Do you know what I mean? I put on my list, make that bloody Labo kit. It's a nice present. It will give you something to do once you've made it as well. You can play the game with it, have a little steering wheel and that. Not done it. Oh,
that's got to be like, that's why you get frustrated with yourself, though, isn't it? When you remember, it's like when I remember that I've got physio exercises to do. I think all these weeks when I've had time to do it, and I just forget. it just gets pushed at the back of my mind.
What is it,
I'm always
though?
really disappointed in myself. I don't know why it's like that.
Why?
Maybe I've just got like a really short attention span. Do you know what one thing I really wanted to get into, and I said I would do at some point when I left my old job to move to Leeds, is I want to learn how to woodwork properly.
Ah, see, that is a good skill.
To make stuff.
The proper manly skill.
It is a good
isn't
skill. It's a manly skill. That's the time I developed one in my life. Right? I've not even sawn a plank of fucking wood yet.
Whoa.
I've done nothing. The whole point was to like go on like a carpentry course and stuff like that, learn how to do things. I've done jack shit. We've been talking about clearing the cellar out for ages, so I've got room to work down there. Have we done it? No.
Chris, got a question. How's the oven coming on, by the way?
I've done it.
Oh, have you done it?
I've done it.
Oh.
I've actually done it.
What?
I've actually done it.
I'm actually shocked.
I did it a few weeks ago. That's my biggest achievement since lockdown, is actually doing the bloody oven.
Bloody hell, mate, eh? And then that... Oh.
Thing is, I'm actually, like... Obviously, because we haven't got any pictures up and stuff, I don't think I'm, like, excessively obese or, like, an untidy or unwashed person or anything like that. But I always feel like I give myself a kicking for not doing stuff.
I can imagine our listeners who've never like seen a picture of us having a visual image of what we look like based on what we're talking about and how lazy we are. It's big message.
I'm surprised you're not running out to that ice cream that I can hear in the background if you base it on the image of what people should have.
Running, mate. Don't do running. Just clarify that.
Jess, can you give me a lift to the ice cream van? Or what's the point? Can you fucking go?
Yeah. That's the life.
I'd love to learn something like really practical and useful. One day I'll do it.
So when was the last time you actually made something crafty with your hands then?
Probably never. That's the whole point. That's why I wanted to learn it, because I can't do stuff like that.
Not even
But I feel like with a bit of patience, if I committed, like, pay to go on like an intense course or whatever for 2 weeks, because you can do that, I'll be able to do something. I want to be able to build like my own cabinets and stuff and get out of working in an office.
It's actually funny you brought up like woodwork and craftsmanship, because a little project that I've been doing to keep me kind of entertained is making this. It's a magic mirror. It's basically a smart mirror. It's a two-way acrylic mirror, and in the back of it you've got a monitor,
right,
so you can see your reflection, but you can also see the monitor, and it just has, you know, like time, weather, notifications, headlines of the news, that kind of stuff. And
right,
basically built the frame, and then you have to build like a box at the back of the frame so the monitor can fit into it. So I went to Wickes for the first time and bought some timber wood and a saw and some wood glue and all this. And the biggest obstacle that I came across was trying to saw a perfectly straight edge by hand.
That's almost impossible.
Something I've learned for the first time.